Today we are going to practice labeling a 3D tour. So if you open up Matterport, the new scans will always be sort of in this open area, not in a folder. So it'll just be in the main area of all of your spaces. So you can just double click on the one you want to start editing and click over to edit mode. So the first thing you're always going to do is view the dollhouse and take a quick look around and make sure that there are no errors. Usually a building has fairly clear and precise walls that you can see, and an error is going to be really, really striking as a giant pinpoint or something streaking out from the scan that is clearly not there. So it's going to be really obvious. Usually I do this the same day I scan. I start my upload, I'll check on the scan and just double check this quickly because you have to make the change in the iPad in order to make the update. Usually you have to add another window or a mirror that was missed. Once I've done that, the next thing I like to do is switch over to floor plan view and take a good look at my scans. So looking at this, I can see a few scans that I probably want to get rid of. So number 24 is probably unnecessary, and there seems to be two that are very close together over here. So I'm going to switch over to my scans, and from here I can easily hide scans that I don't need. You can either do it by hovering over top of it like I just did, or if you see the number, you can actually just scroll down onto the list and get rid of it that way. So now I've removed the two scans I know I don't like, and that's great. So the next thing I'm going to look at is my start location. So this is the current start location. It's of the living room, and often I do like to start in the living room, but because it's an empty space, I think I would like to actually do a start point of the kitchen instead. So I'm going to navigate over to a kitchen view that I like. So maybe something like that, and click Set. And once I've done that, you'll see this update, which is great. And sometimes it can be a good idea to just click Publish midway through your process just to make sure any of your changes are saved. So the next thing I need to do is to create my highlight reel. So the easiest way to do that is to add from photos. And Matterport will automatically take a bunch of photos of a space that you can then use in your highlight reel. So I've actually already created a portion of my highlight reel, and I took a few additional photos to add to it, but let's pretend I hadn't. And we can see down below that I've added a kitchen, a living room, and these two bedrooms, but I want another angle of my living room, so I'm going to zoom over to where I want it to be, over here, and switch over to camera mode. There we go. Make it sure it's nice and level, or sometimes I tilt down a little bit, but not too crazy. Take a photo. Scoot over here back to the kitchen. And now I'm going to take an angle sort of showing a bit of the kitchen and a bit of the living room. Something like that. Tilt down just a little. Just, make a composition that you like. And now that I have those two extra photos, I can add them from my gallery. Add them to my highlight reel gallery. So I can just select them, add selected photos to reel. And when I close this now, you can see they're now added to the reel. And it's very easy to just drag them over to where you want them to be and rename them. So these ones, it says add a caption. So I want this one to be called kitchen. This is going to be living room. Oh, I actually want this one ahead of this one, so I'll move that there. This is the master bedroom, and this is the bedroom. Unfurnished is not very helpful. So there we go. And you can see the dollhouse view. I'm fine leaving that as is. So the other thing we need to do is check the VR path. So the VR path is what you would see if you were using goggles to sort of navigate around your space. And you can see it's put in a bunch of navigation points that it thinks are important. So it's got all the major rooms covered. It's going into the bathroom, the den, but it's kind of leaving this space really empty. And there's a few maybe extra ones in here that I don't need. So I don't need it to go into that hallway. I can just zoom from the bedroom all the way over to the bathroom. And I think I would like maybe an extra one here, and maybe I'll drop this one and sort of create, or maybe better yet, would that be a good option? So you can kind of play around to find a set of scans that you're comfortable with, because this is what it will look like. You can see that there are these giant dots floating in your foreground, and from here you can sort of see where you can navigate to. But when you're actually using the VR goggles, it will look like these giant floating dots. So let's go back in so you can see like that. So you want there to be enough that you can easily navigate, but not so many that it becomes confusing. So you can just move through your dots, get where you needed to go. Perfect. So I'm happy with my VR mode, and I can get out of here and click publish, saving any of my changes. So the next thing I want you to do is switch over to your preview mode, and usually I just like to refresh and sort of start from the beginning. And it's really important to quickly look through your scan as if you were the first person looking at it. So just to sort of navigate through, this is a good way to double check for any errors, to find any problems. You can make sure you can get into all the spaces you were expecting to get into, kind of look around, see if there is, possibly if you stood in a corner and you didn't realize that there was something you didn't like. So here's an example. In this scan, now that I've taken a look at it closer, it's a bit weird. There's this giant error, there are these weird streaks here, and I can easily navigate from the hallway all the way to the end without really getting into this squishy extra scan. So I'm probably going to get rid of that. It's not really necessary, but it's not something that when I looked at the floor plan that I realized. So it's always a good idea to just navigate around. You can sort of see any problems. We're not overly concerned with seeing reflections of the Matterport camera. We have no ability to control this. So this hallway is a little tight as well, but at least I'm telling people that there are these closets that you might want to use, while the other one told me nothing. So I think I'll leave that one in, but let's go back over to edit mode, go back to my dollhouse view, and I'm going to get rid of this scan here that looked bad and seemed to have an error. So I can just click on my scans and hide this one, and click publish, and perfect. So now that one's gone. So now if I go back to this preview mode and zoom in, it's gone. I can no longer get from into this hallway scan here. It's hidden from view, but I can get all the way here and actually look at the room. Perfect, just what I wanted. So the last step is you need to change the details. So in order to do that, usually if this is a client who's ordered a scan before, as in this case, Alan Yasin, I just go to another older scan of theirs. So I navigate over to their folder. So if you go from the main menu, this main menu, click into real estate or whichever folder, it might be builders or corporate, find the client, there they are, Alan Yasin. Click on one of their old tours and you can just go to details and copy what you need. So there's Alan. We're going to put in the name, the contact name. It always says presented by C Virtual, so that's good. You don't have to worry about that. Contact phone number and contact email. And for certain clients, mainly the commercial spaces, sorry, I'm going to save that before I get distracted. There is some builders, namely Spruce Hill, that does before and afters of certain spaces. For these scans in particular, I will usually explain what type of scan it is. So in the details, I will explain that it is the completed scan or the completed property, compared to this earlier version that is the pre-build or pre-installation scan. So that's the one time I also include a summary of what the space is. But let's go back to Alan's tour. So the last things we need to do are to make this public. So we want the space to be viewable by others. And then you can copy the link and save it to the tracker. Usually I just put it under 3D link on the tracking page. So if we go over to the tracker, well, I'm not going to show you my password, so we'll just leave it there. But if you just go over to the tracker, you can just paste the link in for everyone to use. And that's it. Pretty easy and simple to label a 3D scan. Okay.